Live in the moment, my dear viewers. Why aren't you asleep yet? A must-watch wilderness building video before bed, guaranteeing you a good night's sleep after all. Today, I guess your phone battery is around 61%, and you're lying in this exact posture right now. If I guessed right, make a sound in the comments. If not, take a picture and post it in the comments section. Now, please put your left foot on your neck. Next, let's get straight into today's topic. The babbling river flows into the distance. Handsome Gene is wandering in the jungle. He walks along the stream, surveying the path ahead. Soon, he found an absolutely perfect spot. He plans to build another wooden cabin to relax and cultivate his soul. First, he uses collected stone slabs to pave the ground. This will form a solid foundation. The building materials for today are a bit special. Gene somehow scavenged a large number of discarded wooden pallets. He thinks this is quite a good material. Laying down 6 of them directly makes a beautiful floor frame, and the remaining pallets are dismantled one by one. Not only did he get piles of ready-made wooden boards, he even got a large bucket of wild iron nails. This time, it can truly be called pure wilderness survival. In just half a day, all the materials were gathered. If he had to collect them properly, it would take at least a month. With enough materials, he can start laying the floor. Simply nailing them onto the pallets in order works perfectly. As for the pillars, he also plans to splice them with wooden boards, fixing them with nails in an overlapping and staggered manner, then sawing off the excess parts, and it's done. Although not as sturdy as raw logs, it's definitely enough to use. In a short while, Gene made more than 10 of them, fixing them one by one onto the floor. He even adds diagonal braces to the bottom of the main pillars. They can be removed once the splicing is complete. First, he determines the future locations of doors and windows. This way, he can plan out the rough wall frame. The babbling sound of water is relaxing, and his hands can't help but speed up a bit. Before long, he reached the top section. Gene first fixes sturdy beams on both sides. With a little diagonal bracing, it becomes a stable, triangular structure. Then he can install the thick roof ridge. With it, he can start installing the roof on both sides. Of course, some measurements are needed before that. Accurate dimensions ensure structural stability. Since the pillars are spliced together, it naturally saves the step of slotting. Whatever kind of mortise and tenon you want, just piece it together. The speed is simply ridiculously fast. In no time, all the rafters are installed. For structural stability, horizontal boards must be added. Only then can it resist the stronger gales in the wilderness. At the same time, it looks absolutely stunning. After finishing this, he secretly went back home, and then brought over a few thick iron sheets. Under the supervision of the little white dog, he fixed them in the corner. This is a fireproof layer for the fireplace. After all, this whole house is made of dry wooden boards. A little carelessness, and all the effort will be in vain. Of course, plain iron sheets are somewhat ugly. He plans to use some stones to beautify it. Being by the river, there's no shortage of stones. As long as you are willing to work, you can have as many as you want. It's simply endless. Of course, building a wall definitely requires wild concrete. Gene first made a small wooden box, then went nearby to dig up some fresh clay. After adding water and mixing, it becomes high-quality, wild concrete. Truly, a veteran artist. Even throwing concrete has such a rhythm. Reaching a certain height, he places a few wild steel bars. This allows him to continue building upwards. As for the furnace door and the stove, he chooses to use his superpower. After all, homemade ones will inevitably have flaws, but the bought ones have no flaws, other than being expensive. Just like that, he quickly set up an exquisite double-hole stove. Not only can it provide warmth, it can also be used for making tea and cooking meals. The matching lids fit perfectly without any gaps. Gene feels that the plain iron pipe affects the aesthetics, so he immediately decided to build a stone chimney, starting with a large stone base, then stacking them layer by layer. In just 2.5 hours, it reached half the height of the roof. You could say it stands tall and mighty, with incredibly high aesthetic value. After building it, he immediately prepares for a fire test, with the warm embrace of the magnesium rod and birch bark. The new home gets its first wisp of cooking smoke. It's time to seal the walls. Considering that plain wooden boards are hard to seal completely, Gene decides to use the simplest method. First, he staples a thick layer of moisture barrier over the whole house. The dog quietly basks in the sun on the side, as if waiting for the new home to be completed. And the door and window positions need to be cut out separately. The top is also fully covered. This way, even without tiles, it can keep warm and rainproof. Speak of the devil. The next day, it happened to drizzle in the jungle. Fortunately, Jean's work withstood the test of nature. Although the trees are still desolate, the small flowers on the ground are blooming brightly. Amidst the chirping of birds, Jean plans to start installing the walls. Look at the dog's vigorous posture. Even if wild beasts come, it can guard its master. Jean first uses a spaced method for paving. This layer is just basic support. And the following wooden shingles will be the final outer shell, looking like a general's scale armor. Indestructible. Today, a few snowflakes drifted in the wilderness. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. It can only be considered a little surprise in the tedious building process. Not knowing how many sunrises and sunsets have passed, Jean finally finished building all the walls. Next, he can move on to the roof. Here, wooden shingles are also used. However, they are slightly longer than the wall parts. From a distance, it also looks highly attractive. Of course, the most attractive one is still you, who is watching the video. Next, just finishing the edge ceiling means it's completed. Let's take a good look and appreciate it. After finishing, Jean collected some plant ash. Wait, what are you trying to do? Why break a perfectly good egg into the dust? Oh, it turns out he's making an adhesive to reinforce the chimney. Although I don't know the science behind it, he must have his reasons for doing this. Then he also added a cap to the top of the chimney. This way, rainwater won't sneak into the house. After this, he plans to install the windows. This circle of cotton strips is for better sealing. This way, the window frame and the wall can fit tightly. He plans to make a cross frame to act as support. Finally, he picked up discarded glass panels to cut. I have to say, it looks quite exquisite once installed. With the windows done, only the main door remains. He first splices the door frame structure indoors, then covers it with a waterproof tarp for sealing. I just don't know why the main door has to be inside. After measuring the dimensions, a little splicing is done. A perfect frame is born. To stabilize the corners, he also installed angle irons to secure the walls. The same style of overlapping door panels is also very beautiful. Once installed on the door frame with hinges, it can open and close smoothly. The door latch also gives a full sense of security. For the reserved part, Jean is also ready to install wall panels. Not gonna lie, this built-in style door looks much more atmospheric. Don't be fooled by the simple raw materials. It gives the illusion that I could do that too. In fact, for this little cabin, Jean has been building it for several months. When he came, it was a desolate early winter. Now, it is already full of greenery. Jean takes us to the hillside to see the snow-white horses. Of course, he conveniently grabbed a few straight branches to take home, lightly scraping off the bark. He also conveniently carved out exquisite patterns. Then he placed them under the eaves to dry in the shade. He did exquisite edge wrapping for all the corners. Thus, the cabin's temperament has gone up another level. Considering the morning sun might be glaring, he specially crafted 2 window shutters. After waiting for a period of time, the wooden sticks, hidden under the eaves, gradually dried out. He can't wait to take out his fish hooks, getting ready to go all out. Finding a deep water spot, he begins his patient wait. Soon, a big, greedy fish took the bait. He caught 7 or 8 in a row before packing up and going home. Then he can start a fire to cook. He made a bonfire and a small table in front of the door. After washing the fish, they can be grilled. The smell makes the 2 little dogs drool. Once fully cooked, 2 people and a dog happily enjoyed the meal. Today, Jean prepares to start the interior decoration. He first seals all the walls entirely with wooden boards. Then he got some newer pallets. These woods are used as wall decorations. This makes it look more artistic. As for furniture, he has very high standards. First, fixing the wooden boards to the frame. Then, using a wooden stick to draw different lines. After recutting, he gets a unique tabletop. The artistic value is at least 3 or 4 stories high. The rest of the parts also need to be carefully cut. For this bar counter, out of 10, I give it 100. As for the lower areas, they are designed as benches. He didn't make a bed for sleeping, just as I said at the beginning. He is just here to relax and cultivate his taste. The construction of the cabin is part of life and art, and not just for survival. Then he carbonized a batch of wooden boards, and used an iron brush to scrub off the surface charcoal. This way, he gets a material with a unique texture. He turns them into storage shelves, and fixes them on the wall, to place some small objects in the future. The remaining scraps are not to be wasted either. With a little processing, they become beautiful small chairs. Placing them in front of the bar counter is just perfect. On this day, Jean and the dog came to explore the jungle. The mushrooms and berries on the grass attracted his attention. Perfect for collecting some to take home and make dinner. After washing them clean, he lights the fire. Then starts processing the ingredients and puts them in the pot to cook. The 2 little ones' dog bowls are also fully loaded. Not long after, Jean sits at the bar counter and quietly enjoys his meal. A cup of hot tea after the meal, sipping while listening to the babbling water. This kind of peaceful satisfaction is perhaps exactly what he seeks. At night, he even takes out his accordion and plays a tune. This cabin is not a tool for survival, but a vessel to settle his wandering soul, and a vessel to practice the aesthetics of life. It is also the most concrete footnote to freedom and romance.